Family gatherings in my family have never been about joy or togetherness. Twice a year, Christmas and my mom's birthday, we all come together at my parents' house in Austin, Texas. It's not a tradition of love, it's an obligation, a performance, one I've endured for years. But this year? This was the year I had enough. A little background. I'm Olivia Parker, 32, a corporate lawyer at one of the top firms in Texas. I've worked hard to build my career, and I make more money than I'll ever need. My younger sister, Sophia, 30, has been the golden child since birth. She could crash my car, and my parents would blame me for letting her drive it. Meanwhile, I once got grounded for getting an A instead of an A+. My sister has never held a job for more than 6 months. At 30, she's still living with my parents, not contributing a single penny. No rent, no groceries, not even basic chores. My mom and dad treat her like she's made of glass. While I've always been the one they leaned on, for money, for fixing things, for being the emotional punching bag whenever my sister had another dramatic breakup. But a few months before this family gathering, something changed. I realized I was done. Done being their safety net. Done playing the responsible one while my sister got away with everything. So I made some moves. The biggest one? Selling my house. I arrived at the family gathering already knowing something was off. My mom was practically glowing with excitement, and my sister had this smug grin, like she had just won the lottery. Halfway through dinner, my dad cleared his throat and nudged my sister. My gut twisted. I wasn't going to like what came next. My sister stood up, raised her glass with that insufferable smirk, and declared, "So, Mom and Dad decided I should move into your house." The room fell dead silent. I froze, my fork hovering midair. Did she just say that out loud? My mom, beaming like she had just announced a pregnancy, clapped her hands together. Yes. Since you're always so busy with work, it just makes sense for your sister to live there instead of wasting money on rent. I stared at them, not a question, not a request, a decision, made without me. They never asked, never hinted at it, never even pretended I had a say. They simply assigned my home to my sister, like I was some landlord at their disposal and she was entitled to an upgrade. I set my fork down, slowly, reached for my wine, took a sip, let the moment breathe. Then, in the calmest, most matter-of-fact voice, I said, "That's funny because I sold it last week." The room shifted. My sister's smirk collapsed. My mom's face drained of color. My dad nearly choked on his drink. "Olivia, what did you say?" My mom finally gasped. I placed my glass back on the table. "I sold the house," I repeated, this time sliding a thick envelope across the table toward my sister. She snatched it up, her hands shaking as she tore it open, eyes darting over the words, searching for a loophole. "No! You can't do this. I was supposed to move in. Mom and Dad said—" I let out a slow breath, locked eyes with her, and said, "Mom and Dad don't own my house, and neither do you." A crack formed in my mom's shock. Then came the tears. "How could you do this? Your sister needs a place to live." I shrugged, leaning back in my chair. "She's 30. She can figure it out." The envelope hit the table with a slap as my sister flung it down. Her voice rose, shrill and demanding. "You can just buy another house. Let me stay there until then." I blinked. Then I laughed. Not just a chuckle, a full, genuine, from-the-gut laugh. "You seriously expect me to drop hundreds of thousands of dollars just so you have a place to crash? Do you even hear yourself?" But nope. I stood up, brushing off imaginary lint from my blazer. Not my problem. That's when my dad, who had been sitting in silence, finally decided to speak. "This was selfish, Olivia," he said, shaking his head like I had just burned the family name to the ground. "You know your sister isn't as successful as you." I grabbed my coat, letting out a short laugh. "Yeah, I know. That's because she's never had to be. You two have made sure of that." And with that, I walked out. The next few weeks, absolute gold. My sister lost it, like full-on meltdown. She went to my old house, knocked on the door, fully expecting to waltz inside like it was still hers for the taking. Except, surprise, a retired couple had just moved in. They were confused. She was hysterical. "What are you doing in my house?" she screeched. Yeah, they called the cops. Then came the phone calls from my parents, the angry voicemails, the messages from extended family. "Sophia is homeless now because of you. Your parents are heartbroken. You should have at least warned them first." "It was just a house, Olivia. You could have let her have it." I ignored them all, blocked numbers, moved on with my life. Eventually, word got around that my sister had moved into my parents' basement. A 30-year-old woman sleeping on a couch in the house she never had to leave in the first place. Karma. As for me, I took my money and my fully functional life and left for a long vacation, somewhere warm, somewhere far, and I had zero plans to come back anytime soon. The nightmare continues. I thought that was the end of it. I thought I had washed my hands of their nonsense and could finally breathe. I was wrong. A week into my vacation, my phone rang. Restricted number. Normally I ignore those, but something told me to pick up. "Where are you right now?" "Ah, my mom." I sighed, swirling my drink, as I leaned back on the balcony of my beachfront suite. "Mom, I blocked you for a reason. You have no right," she started, voice shrill and shaking with fury. But I cut her off. "Get to the point." She took a deep breath as if she were about to deliver earth-shattering news. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Your sister is suffering?" I put the phone on speaker and took another sip of my drink. "Oh yeah, what's she up to now?" Silence. Then my mom dropped the bombshell. "She got evicted." I blinked, evicted. "From where?" A dramatic sigh. "From our house." I almost choked on my drink. "Wait, you mean you kicked her out?" "We had no choice. She got into trouble, and it's all because of you." I rolled my eyes. "How is it my fault that you kicked her out? You forced her into a bad situation." I rubbed my temples. "Okay, what did she do?" Silence. Then reluctantly, my mom admitted it. "She ran up our credit cards." I sat up. "Wait, you gave her credit cards?" Silence. "Then it was just for emergencies. And she maxed them out." I laughed. I laughed so hard I almost fell out of my chair. "Oh my God. You actually thought giving her a credit card was a good idea." "Do not speak to me like that," she snapped. "Then stop acting like I owe you something." She took a deep breath, and I could practically hear her mentally rehearsing whatever manipulation she was about to throw my way. "Look," my mom finally said, her voice shifting into that pitiful, guilt-tripping tone she always used when she wanted something. "We need your help. Your father and I, we're not doing well financially, and your sister has nowhere to go. You need to fix this." I almost laughed. "No, you need to fix this. Just let her stay with you for a little while. She won't be any trouble. She's family." I left Mom. Silence. "Left? What do you mean left?" I smirked, swirling my drink in my hand. "Oh, you think I still live somewhere. You know," a sharp inhale. "Olivia, what are you saying?" "That's adorable," I muttered. Then hung up. Ignoring my family wasn't as easy as I thought. They didn't let it go. My sister, especially, had no intention of moving on. At first, it was just calls from unknown numbers, dozens a day. Then came the emails from burner accounts. I ignored them all. Then it escalated. One day, I got a notification from my bank. Someone had tried to access my account. I locked everything down immediately. Changed passwords. Enabled two-factor. They didn't let it go. My sister especially had no intention of moving on. At first, it was just calls from unknown numbers, dozens a day. Then came the emails from burner accounts. I ignored them all. Then it escalated. One day, I got a notification from my bank. Someone had tried to access my account. I locked everything down immediately, changed passwords, enabled two-factor authentication on everything. But something felt off. The next morning, my phone buzzed with an email from my realtor. Just confirming your change of address request. I called her immediately. What request? She explained that someone had called, pretending to be me, and asked for my new address. They even provided some of my personal details, my old home address, my birth date. But when my realtor asked them a security question, they couldn't answer. I closed my eyes and exhaled slowly. I knew exactly who was behind this. My sister. This wasn't just anger anymore. This was obsession. She wasn't just mad. I had cut off her lifeline, and now she was hunting for me. I decided I was done playing defense. My sister wanted a war. Fine. I unblocked my parents. The moment I did, my mom's number lit up my screen. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. I answered. What is wrong with Sophia? I snapped. She had the nerve to sound offended. Why are you so angry? You haven't spoken to us in weeks. I let out a cold laugh. You mean the weeks where Sophia tried to commit identity theft? Silence. Then finally, what are you talking about? I leaned back, a satisfied smirk on my lips. Yeah, that's right. I took a deep breath, steadying my voice. Tell me why your golden girl is trying to steal my private information. My mom huffed. Sophia wouldn't do that. I scoffed. Oh, so it's just a coincidence that someone tried to change my address, that someone tried to get into my bank account, a coincidence that only started after I cut her off. Silence. Then, a sigh. She's desperate. Olivia, you abandoned her. Her life is ruined, and all you do is mock her. I clenched my jaw. No, she ruined her own life. She started to protest, but I cut her off. If she keeps this up, I'm going to the cops. That finally got a reaction. The cops, she shrieked, like I had just threatened to have Sophia arrested for existing. Yes, the cops. I have evidence. So tell your little girl to back off, or I'll make sure she spends some quality time behind bars. My mom gasped, like I had just betrayed the entire family lineage. Then, her tone softened into pure desperation. Please, Olivia, just talk to her. Just help her one last time. I let out a slow, deep breath, put her on the phone. There was some shuffling, hushed whispers, and then finally, my sister's voice came through, smug as ever. Oh, now you want to talk? I rolled my eyes. I just want to know one thing. Silence. I leaned in, lowering my voice. What was your plan, Sophia? If you got my address, what were you going to do? Show up? Demand I hand over my new place? More silence. You really thought I wouldn't fight back? I let out a cold laugh. You always thought I was your safety net, that no matter what, I'd catch you. But guess what? I cut the net, so if you fall now, you're hitting the ground hard. Her breath hitched, then, venom in her voice, she hissed. You think you're better than me? I didn't hesitate. No, I know I am. And with that, I hung up. I thought that was it. I thought things would finally calm down, that my sister and my parents would finally give up. I was wrong. 3 days later, I got a text from a friend. Hey, saw a weird post about you on Facebook, thought you should know. My stomach dropped. I opened the link. It was a public post from a random shady-looking account, but the post, it was all about me. Lies twisted, insane lies. It painted me as some heartless monster, claiming I had abandoned my dying parents, that I had stolen their money, that I was a selfish, ungrateful daughter who cut ties and ran off to live some lavish, empty life. The comments, predictably disgusting. Wow, what a horrible person. Imagine betraying your own family like this. I hope she loses everything. And then I saw who shared it. My sister, my mom. This wasn't just rage posting, this was premeditated character assassination, and that was their last mistake. I wish I could say I was shocked, but this was their pattern. They had always played the victim, always spinning lies to make themselves look like innocent martyrs while I was cast as the villain. But what really set me off, the effort they put into it. This wasn't just some Facebook rant. They went all in. They contacted my firm, they called my clients, they even reached out to my ex. Within hours, my inbox was flooded with messages. Some were furious, others were just confused. Is this true? Why would you do that to your own family? Did you really steal from them? And that's when I felt it, not anger. Clarity. They wanted a war. I was done playing defense. I didn't panic. I built my case brick by brick. Screenshots of my sister's attempted identity theft, proof of the harassment, the threats, the money demands, financial records showing I had never stolen from my parents. In fact, it was the other way around. Then, I escalated. I wasn't just some helpless victim, I was a corporate lawyer, and now they were my case. The legal counterattack. I sent a cease and desist letter to my parents and sister, demanding they take down the posts and stop spreading false information about me. I expected them to back down, to get scared, delete everything, and finally shut up. I was wrong. Instead of retreating, Sophia doubled down. A week later, I got an actual legal notice in the mail. I opened it, skimming the pages. And then I laughed. They were suing me. The claims: absurd emotional distress, financial abandonment, abuse, leaving them destitute while I lived a lavish lifestyle. I sat there, staring at the papers, trying not to burst out laughing at the sheer insanity of it all. They had no case, no evidence, but they were banking on one thing: that I'd be too scared to fight back. Big mistake. The first hearing, a disaster. For them, Sophia showed up in a cheap, oversized suit, looking like a kid playing dress-up in her mother's closet. My parents sat beside her, fake tears ready, clutching tissues like they were starring in a courtroom drama. Their lawyer, some bottom-of-the-barrel guy who clearly took their case just for the check. Meanwhile, I was prepared. I presented financial records, proving I had never stolen a cent. Screenshots of Sophia harassing me for money, evidence of her identity theft attempt. The judge took one look at the absolute mess in front of them and sighed. "Are you kidding me?" "Case," dismissed Sophia. "Lost it. This isn't fair," she screamed in the courtroom, looking completely unhinged. "She ruined my life." The judge glared. "Ma'am, if you don't calm down, you'll be held in contempt." She shut up real fast, and just like that, my family's big revenge plan blew up in their faces, but I wasn't done. The next day, I sued them back: defamation, emotional distress, harassment. Sophia laughed when she got the lawsuit. She thought I was bluffing. Until the court ruled in my favor, I won a 5-figure settlement, and since my parents had co-signed my sister's debts, guess what? They had to pay up. My mom begged me not to enforce the judgment. "I'm your mother," she sobbed. "Please don't do this." I stared at her, completely unmoved. "You should have thought about that before you helped Sophia try to destroy my life." She screamed at me, called me heartless, accused me of being cruel and unforgiving. But I didn't care. I made sure that every single penny got collected. Sophia was broke, my parents financially wrecked, and me. I took my money and my freedom and never looked back. Months later, I got an email from Sophia, subject line: "You win, but you should know something." I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. The email was short. Mom and Dad lied to me too. They told me they had set up an inheritance for me, that if I waited, I'd be taken care of. They never saved a dime. I was supposed to get the house, your house. That's why they pushed me to move in. They needed you to keep it so I'd have something. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. Then came the kicker. They're in deep debt, not just from the lawsuit. They owe money to the wrong people. And now that they're broke, guess who those people are coming after? A chill ran down my spine. My parents weren't just bad with money, they were in deep with loan sharks. And just like that, I realized this wasn't over. I sat there, staring at the email, just processing. My parents had lied to everyone, not just to me, not just to Sophia, to everyone. They weren't just reckless, they weren't just entitled, they were in serious trouble. And now someone was coming to collect. I had 2 choices. 1, walk away. Let them deal with their own mess. Let them face whatever consequences were coming. 2, find out just how bad this really was. Against my better judgment, I chose the latter. I started digging, a few calls to old contacts, a few records pulled, and then the truth hit me like a freight train. My parents didn't just owe banks. They didn't just owe credit card companies. They owed over $100,000 to loan sharks. The kind of people who don't send letters. The kind of people who don't take excuses. Turns out Sophia wasn't the only screw-up. My dad had a gambling problem, and my mom? She had been covering for him for years. When their money ran out, they started borrowing. When borrowing wasn't enough, they made promises they couldn't keep. And when I sold my house, That was their last safety net gone. Now, with nothing left, someone was coming to collect. 2 days later, she showed up at my door to this day. I don't know how she found me, but there she was. Disheveled, desperate, scared. She looked nothing like the smug, entitled girl I had grown up with. "I need your help," she said. I crossed my arms. Why would I do that? Her hands were shaking. Because if you don't, someone's going to die. For the first time in my life, I saw real fear in her eyes. "They came to the house," she whispered. "Mom and Dad thought they could talk their way out of it. They were wrong." My stomach twisted. What happened? Sophia swallowed hard. "They trashed the place, took everything valuable, left a warning." "What kind of warning?" She pulled up her sleeve. A deep, fresh bruise covered her forearm. "They told me if they don't get their money soon, next time, it won't just be a warning." I let out a slow breath. "So what? You expect me to pay off their debt?" Sophia shook her head. "No. I expect you to help me take them down." I didn't want to get involved. I had spent years trying to escape my family's mess. But this?